clicked in my head that this shouldn't be.
Armstead was waiting still in the wings. And so he, of course, found out that I wasn't going to marry Otis. And so I guess he said, well, I have a chance. And so he asked me to marry him. I don't know how long after that. But I said, nope. And then he asked me again, and I said, I don't think so. And then the third time he asked me, I said no. And after that, I thought about it. I said, I think I just said no 3 times to the wrong man. I shouldn't have said no. I should have said yes. And it was like too late because he was finished with me.
With both Armstead and Otis out of her life, Patti began to focus on her career. But by the mid-1960s, the sweet lyrics and pure harmonies of girl groups rapidly gave way to the hard-rocking sounds of the British invasion.
A lot of people were petrified, American singers, and I being one of them, not knowing what was going to happen.
We packed places when we went to the clubs, and people loved to come see us. We were well-liked, and we got pretty well-known, but we didn't have the hit records. We did very well without a hit record, though.
And then in 1967, Cyndi Birdsong abruptly and unexpectedly quit to join the Supremes. For Patti, it was the ultimate betrayal.
When Cyndi Birdsong left the group, it was a shock.
It was a painful decision for me to make, and there was a lot of animosity because of it and a lot of bad feelings for a while.
We got a call before our show started saying that she was in Detroit, she was with the Supremes now, and for us to find a replacement. And it was that cold and dry. And I couldn't believe it. I said, am I hearing right? And they told us that she's gone.
When I left the group, I was away from them totally for a year, not even a phone call or a note. So that probably was very hurtful to them. I was so glad to meet up with the girls 1 year after the fact and settle things, just talk out things.
And I said, Cyndi, I don't have a problem with you going with them. It's just that it could have been done in a different fashion. You could have told us that you had an offer, and I would have understood. I wouldn't have been happy, but I would have said, go.
I would never do anything like that right now, ever again, because truly that was an act of betrayal on my part, I thought.
After Cyndi departed, Patti, Nona, and Sarah became inseparable and continued on as a trio. But there was still something missing in Patti's life. With Nona and Sarah's help, she set out to win back the man whose love she'd rejected 3 times.
Sarah, Nona, and I were in New York, and we were trying to find a way for me to get back into Armstead's life. I said, because I know now, after the 3rd time, he's not thinking about me anymore, and I really want to marry him. I thought about it. I said, I really think I should marry Armstead. So we went to New York, and we bought this awesome outfit. I got on the train, got in a cab, went to his apartment, and rang his bell and said, Armstead, I said, would you marry me? Just like that. He said, excuse me? I said, please. I said, give me an answer. He said, maybe tomorrow. He made me wait. So finally he said, I don't know how long after that, he said, I'll marry you. So I proposed to him the 4th time, and he said yes.
On July 23, 1969, 5 days after she proposed, Patti and Armstead eloped.
He's the best person. He's not Mr. Show Business. He's not Mr. Labelle. He's Mr. Edwards. And he's so bright. And he really is a great balance for me. We're like night and day. I'm like wildfire. He's like ice cubes.
I really believe the thing that has kept us together is her basic honesty, not only with other people, but primarily with herself.
We have a wonderful, calm lifestyle. It's good enough for me.
Coming up, Patti leaves the Bluebells and the 60s behind to create a cultural sensation. Next, when Intimate Portrait continues. In the wake of the sexual revolution, the innocent sound of the girl groups had become hopelessly out of date. By 1969, Patti Labelle and the Bluebells had become an oldies novelty act. With nothing to lose, Patti enlisted British TV producer Vicky Wickham as their new manager.
When I started working with them, they were at a very low ebb. They were really scraping for gigs. Things had changed, and they hadn't changed. They were still dressing the same, they still had the same wigs, they, were doing the same choreography, the same material.
She saw that there was a wonderful group here who needed a little adjustment. And she came with these ideas for us changing our look, changing our song, changing our attitude.
It was obvious that you had three strong women, three very different women, and they weren't being utilized.
Well, I fought her like a crazy woman. I said, Miss Thing, I'm very, very happy here. I don't want to go to London. I don't want to change our songs. I don't want to change my way of dress. I don't want to change anything.
She just was totally unopen to change. Can't change our name. We've been Patti Labelle and the Bluebells for X number of years. Nobody will know who we are. Have to sing down the aisle, have to sing over the rainbow.
Why leave something that you're comfortable with, that you know works? If it's not broke, I don't like to fix it. And she said, it's not like fixing it, it's just like giving the people something different. With your voice, she said, you can do other things. And so we went to London and we revamped, lived there for 6 months. I fought every day. And I said, we're going to go back to the States and people are going to turn on us. They're going to turn on us and they're going to throw stuff at us and they're just going to beat us down. And they kept saying, Patti, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. I said, okay, I'll try it.
When they returned from London, the group had a new look, a new sound, and a new attitude. Patti, Nona, and Sarah were no longer girls. They were women. And their new group, Labelle, would usher in a new era of female music.
Labelle got themselves together and took advantage of exactly what was going on.
Three strong women saying something that women could relate to, but all incredibly sexy and attractive, so the guys were banging on the door, but women wanted to come and hear what they had to say.
Women before them were a little passive. Then here come these women. They were very independent thinkers, talking about racism, sexism, and to me that was inspiring. That was really inspiring as a young woman.
In 1971, Labelle collaborated with Laura Nyro on her classic album, Gonna Take a Miracle. It was a one-time return to the old sound that Patti loved so much. It was also the beginning of a lifelong friendship.
She had heard us, Patti Labelle and the Bluebells sing, and she wanted to do this Gonna Take a Miracle album, and she wanted us to be on it. And Vicki arranged a meeting, and I came to visit her, and we played music that day, and we just bonded.
Soon after the recording with Laura, Patti discovered she was pregnant. But at the age of 28, she was unsure about the prospect of becoming a mother.
But I wasn't ready to have a baby because we were touring, and it was like in the middle of all the travel, and we were trying to become who we were trying to become. And Sarah, Nona, and Vicki couldn't understand it, and they were a little upset. And I understand that because it sort of like stopped everything. And I said, well, I'm definitely having my baby.
On July 17th, 1973, Patti gave birth to a baby boy. They named him Zuri, the Swahili word for beautiful. But motherhood came very hard to Patti. Though unaware of it at the time, she was suffering from postpartum depression.
When he was born, I couldn't cope. I would cry every day, and Laura would come and take him under the tree and sing to him and keep him quiet. I said, girlfriend, you got it, because I can't hang. And then after that, I learned how to be a more patient mother. He was the perfect thing for my life, but I didn't know it until he came.
When Patti rejoined Labelle a few months after giving birth to Zuri, the music scene was going through another major transition.
There was a lot of rock and roll going on, but there was also a great willingness to embrace and have fun. And there was a kind of a madness in the air. People really wanted to have a good time.
Capitalizing on this phenomenon, Vicki Wickham decided to radically reinvent Labelle's image once again. But for Patti, it was a difficult change.
We just came back with a different way of singing and a different way of dressing. And that's when we became these outrageous, look like drag queens.
Okay, so